Hey, everybody who's now watching in Pivot Shift Ahead and with us on Zoom, it's your friend James Shaw. Trust you're doing okay. Every Wednesday, we hop into Pivot Shift Ahead and we do something that's absolutely awesome and off the charts and amazing. Normally, what we do is we interview an agent who's doing something at a super high level. But today, I'm just going to turn it over to an agent who's doing something at a super high level. If you're watching in Pivot Shift Ahead, I first want to thank you for being a member of our community over there. Many of you are probably on our free morning mastermind calls. We did the math on it. We have done over 1,000 mastermind calls over the last nearly 4 years inside of Pivot Shift Ahead that have been absolutely free to you. This is another one. We love doing free stuff. And so we're thankful that you're choosing to be here today in this market to get some free advice from an elite agent on how to operate at a high level. Now, you're also going to have an opportunity, if you want, to go even deeper with what Emily's going to teach you, and she'll give you deep details on that, and you'll have to pay for it because it's not all free, folks. You got to pay for stuff too. What do you sell houses for free? Is that how it works? You just sell houses for free because you're nice and love people. So Emily's going to walk you through what she's doing and give you a great overview today. And then if you choose to take it deeper, she'll tell you how you can do that. Emily, I'm excited you're here. You have been in the business, what, about 4 years now?
5.
5 years now. And in your first
Yes,
4 years, you listed 140 plus for sale by owners because you moved to a market where you and your husband didn't know anybody. You've got a great story and you've got a great system. I don't want to take your thunder, so I'm turning it over to you. You're in charge. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Emily Peckham. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. All right, I'm going to share my screen with y'all real quick. All right. Welcome,
Testing.
everybody. Can you see it?
Yes, we can. You're good to go.
All right, perfect. Awesome. All right, welcome, guys. Welcome to FSBO Fortune. My name is Emily Peckham, and I am super, super excited to be here and to get to share with you all. This is something that I have wanted to do for a really long time, and I called James a while back, and I shared the idea with him, and he said, why don't we do it together? And so I couldn't think of a better person to partner with us on, someone who has had such an impact on the real estate community and the Keller Williams community. So I'm super grateful to be partnering with James and his team. Vicky and Grace have been so helpful in bringing this course to life, and I could not have done it without them. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to just first start by sharing a little bit about myself, my background, why I got started or how I got started in real estate, and then why for sale by owners were the main source of business that I was attracted to. So when I first got my real estate license in August of 2018, there was a lot of changes going on in my life at that time. I was brand new to Nashville. I had graduated college in May of 2018. I got married in June of 2018. I got my real estate license in July of 2018. And, moved to Nashville in July of 2018, got my real estate license in August of 2018. So a whole lot of change going on in my life at that time. And, growing up, I had always been very, very determined. And so real estate stood out to me for a lot of different reasons. One of them was that I was always very determined and really, really like sales. I used to go door to door selling entertainment books, selling Girl Scout cookies. I would do fundraisers for my soccer team. And I used to tell my mom, if I can just get them to open the door, then I can probably sell them something. So I always loved sales. I also saw that my husband was self-employed. He was a music video director in the Nashville area, working with artists. And then my mom sold insurance growing up. And I saw the flexibility and the freedom that they had. And that was really attractive to me. Now, when I say flexibility and freedom, I don't mean that they were just, running around all day having fun. They were both very hard workers, but they had this freedom and the space to choose what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it. And so that was really attractive to me. And so I decided, you know what, I had a degree in finance. I was interviewing for jobs in Nashville in finance that I just wasn't excited about. And so I thought, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity for me. I'm going to get my real estate license. So like I said, I was 23 years old. brand new to Nashville, did not have a large sphere of influence to call. So when I got my license, I remember walking in to my market center, and there was a class at Ignite being taught within the first week of me getting my real estate license. And I walked in, Joe Sheeran, he is a mentor of mine, was teaching a class around for sale by owners. And oh my gosh, guys, I felt like the light bulb had gone off, right? Like for me, this was the perfect opportunity. I didn't know anyone. I'm 23. I knew a handful of people, my husband's friends, and they were, most of them, broke musicians who certainly weren't buying houses. So I didn't have, you know, this sphere of influence I could call on, and for sale by owners made a whole lot of sense for me. And so I started calling for sale by owners. And within, gosh, a week, 2 weeks of getting my license, I listed my very first for sale by owner home. And really the rest was history. That first year in real estate, I sold 36 homes, 30 of which were for sale by owners. And then in my second year of real estate, I sold over 100 homes, and about 50% of those were for sale by owners. And so I feel really, really grateful to have found a niche in an industry that can be very challenging. And I am here to share with you today a lot of what I have learned so that hopefully you can change the trajectory of your business and your life. Guys, the success that I have found with for sale by owners has opened doors in my life that I never really even imagined were possible. My husband and I bought our first home in April of 2020. We now own 8 investment properties. We just returned home after 8 months of living in our RV. Didn't do a whole lot of work on that trip, but we sure did do a lot of fishing and hiking. We returned home in November, and we had our baby girl, Rebel Rose Peckham. And we have the space and the freedom to be able to choose how we want to spend our time. We've been able to give back, and we're building a legacy for our family and for future generations to come. And I really believe that you can have all of that too. And so my hope for you in taking this class is that you're able to implement some of the tools in this class to be able to achieve your goals. Now, regardless if that looks like adding a for sale by owner to your pipeline, you know, every single quarter, or making it, you know, the majority of your business like I had, there's really no wrong answer. You know, whatever your goals may be, I truly believe that if you're able to implement a lot of what we talk about in this class, and especially if you want to take it a step further for the master class, then you're going to have all the tools that you could ever need to have success with for sale by owners. So let's start off by talking about why we pursue for sale by owners. But actually, first things first, we need to talk about the TCPA rule. You guys, it is so important that you are following all the state, federal, and local laws regarding the do not call list. We want to make sure that we are adhering to that when we're reaching out to for sale by owners. All right, so why do we pursue for sale by owners, or why do I think that they're such an excellent source of business? Number one is that they take very little time, or very little money, excuse me. So you can literally just have access to the internet, go on Zillow, find your for sale by owner leads, doesn't cost you a dime, right? So you're not having to pay for Zillow leads, you're not having to pay for ads on social media. It is free to pursue for sale by owners. Number two is that it takes a little time. All of my for sale by owner calls are made between 8 and 8:45 every single morning. And that includes both my phone call, reaching out to the for sale by owner for the initial call, and then all of my follow-up. It's all happens in a 45-minute span. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time to lead generate for sale by owners. They're easy to find, right? Like literally you can find them on Zillow, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, forsalebyowners.com, Zillow being the main one. You know, there are people who are raising their hand, and this goes hand in hand with the last bullet, they're motivated. There are people who are raising their hand and they're saying, I want to sell my house, right? I can't think of a lot of pieces of business where they're that easy to find and, of course, motivated. All right, so when I first sat down to lay out this course, and I thought about all the reasons that I have had success with for sale by owners, the first thing that came to mind was my mindset. So I have developed the mindset over the last several years that I am unstoppable. There was a coach and a mentor in my life who said something that really stood out to me around mindset. And he said, if you want to learn from a successful person, don't ask them what they do, ask them how they think. Guys, so much of our success, and specifically success around for sale by owners, comes from the mindset that we have. So if you ask me what my mindset is when I'm going on a listing appointment with a for sale by owner, it is that I am the best real estate agent in Middle Tennessee. And if someone chooses not to work with me, then they are missing out on the superior service that I can offer them. So let's talk about some facts around for sale by owners. And I think that that's going to help to inspire you and to boost your mindset around for sale by owners. So here are the facts that I wrote down. Number one is that in my experience, 80% of for sale by owners are going to list their house within the first 3 weeks, or list their house with me within the first 3 weeks of listing their home as a for sale by owner. That is a really, really high percentage. A lot of for sale by owners that I work with, I'll call them first day their home hits the market, and they will set an appointment with me immediately. So my biggest takeaway from this is do not wait to call them. I have people who ask me all the time, how long do you wait to call the for sale by owners? Call them immediately, okay? I think that a lot of times they get overwhelmed with all the phone calls that they're getting and some of the problems that they're experiencing selling their home for sale by owner, that they just don't wait super long. They realize, oh gosh, maybe I'm in over my head. So here's the deal. I trust that because you signed up for this class, you want to have success around for sale by owners. So to set yourself apart, call them right away. Our mindset needs to be that they're going to hire someone. They just don't know who and they don't know when. Number two is that the median sales price for sale by owners, this is according to the National Association of Realtors, is 15% less than homes that are listed by professional real estate agents. So what this means is a for sale by owner can list their home and they can pay you a 6% commission, and they'll still save an additional 9% by hiring you, right? How awesome is that? Again, that's according to the National Association of Realtors. Number three is that for sale by owners attract fewer than 10% of buyers in the marketplace. So let's just use an example real quick. Let's say that somebody calls you and they say, hey, a buyer calls you, they say, hey, I'm looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath home in Nashville. And so I'm probably not going to say, okay, great. Let me just get on Zillow real quick, and I'm going to dive through all the for sale by owner listings, and I'm going to send you the inventory. Probably not going to happen, right? Now, of course, we want to, send our clients all of the homes that they could ever need to look at. But the reality is, most of the time, everything that they could ever possibly need is going to be on the MLS. Most buyers who are searching for sale by owners are either, number one, unqualified looky-loos who can't get a mortgage, so they ask the for sale by owner if they'll finance the home or rent the home out, or number two is investors who are looking to buy the home for 10 cents on the dollar. And then number four, they are the absolute fastest way to make a sale in this industry, probably along with withdrawals and expireds. I once met with a for sale by owner on a Monday afternoon. They agreed to list with me that night. I had the property listed, or I called them Monday morning, met with them Monday night. They listed the home with me. I had it on the market within 48 hours. And we immediately, the first showing, wrote a full price cash offer. And I got a check 9 days later for $10,000. I mean, how awesome is that, right? So these are people who, if you are looking to add immediate business to your pipeline, for sale by owners are a great way to do that. I want to talk about some of the problems that for sale by owners face, because I really think that this will help to boost our mindset around the value that we can provide for sale by owners. So I want you guys to put it in the chat. What are some of the problems that you think or have experienced that for sale by owners face? Marketing, safety, disclosure, security, unqualified buyers. Thank you guys for just blowing up the chat with all the problems that for sale by owners face, because there's a ton of them, right? So here's what I wrote down. Lack of exposure and marketing, right? This is our full-time job. We've been trained in how to properly market homes. Number 2 and 3, I wrote down bargain hunters and unqualified buyers. Again, these are people who are wanting to buy the home for 10 cents on the dollar, or they can't get a mortgage, and so they're deciding to try and shop for sale by owners instead. Negotiating skills. Guys, I have worked with so many for sale by owners who I've called, I finally get a hold of them and they say, oh man, I just accepted an offer that was contingent on the, successful sale of their home, and call me back in a month. That's when the contract runs out. And I'm like, hey, did you guys include a 48-hour kickout clause? And they're like, no, what's that? So many examples that I could talk about with negotiating skills. Legal liability. They might not know what they're supposed to disclose and what they don't have to disclose. Security concerns. They've got people coming in and out of their house for showings that they don't know who these people are. It's time consuming, right? This is a full-time job on top of the full-time job that they probably already have. Between coordinating with a title company, the inspectors, the buyer's agent. There are so many people that they have to stay in touch with, and so many scheduling issues that come up. There's an emotional attachment, right? I have been a part of so many transactions where I know that if I would not have been involved to be an unemotional third party and to walk them through the process, I think things would have gotten a little too emotional, a little too heated, and the deal probably would not have made it to the closing table. And then we talked briefly about contacts, but again, just having access to a wealth of people with skills that we can offer them. And then last but not least, paperwork. They don't have access to it, and they a lot of times do not know how to fill it out. So there are, guys, so many problems that for sale by owners face. And so there's a lot of value that we can provide them as real estate agents. So I share that with you to say, hey, they need our help. All right. We just have to remind them of some of these problems and then show them how we're going to help them walk them through that. So here in a second, we are going to, here in a minute, we're going to talk through the actual script that I use to call for sale by owners. And I'm going to give you some tips for calling for sale by owners. But first, I want to just tell you a story about the very first for sale by owner home that I ever listed. It was my first week as a real estate agent. I did not have business cards or signs made up at this point. I actually went onto Craigslist and I searched for sale by owner, and I found an ad for a for sale by owner home that was nearby the apartment complex that I was living in at the time. Now, it was obvious that the home was overpriced given its condition, and I called the owner, Mr. Phillips. Now, remember, y'all, it's my first week as a real estate agent. At this point, I did not have a single script memorized. So I called Mr. Phillips and I simply asked him if he needed any help selling his house. And he said, nope. So a couple days later, I called him again, and it became a running joke between the two of us. I said, hey, Mr. Phillips, it's me again. Do you need my help selling your house? And he said, nope. And 2 or 3 days later, hey, Mr. Phillips, do you need any help selling your house? Nope. Okay, so finally I ended up offering to host an open house for him. And I called him afterwards, and I went over the results with him, which weren't great. A lot of nosy neighbors and looky-loos. And finally, he agreed to go ahead and meet with me. Oh my gosh, guys, my first listing appointment ever. I was freaking out. I was so nervous. Again, it's my first week or so as a real estate agent. So I start putting together my listing appointment and or listing presentation, and I promise you it was nothing special. Okay. I probably spent 4 or 5 hours putting together this PowerPoint, and I was so anxious driving to this appointment. I went over my presentation, again, nothing special. And I met with him and his wife, and they agreed to list their house with me. So I'm going to sign the listing paperwork, and my hand is literally shaking as I go to get this listing signed. And I get in the car, I drive straight to the office, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? What do I do? How do I get the home on MLS? What paperwork? I mean, guys, I was brand spanking new. And so the point in this, in me sharing this story with you, is that, I didn't have an amazing script. I didn't have a great follow-up plan, didn't have a listing presentation at that point. Literally nothing special, but I took action. And sometimes the difference between someone who's going to benefit from this class, someone who's going to have success with for sale by owners, is just picking up the phone and calling them and taking action. So tip number 1 is just literally pick up the phone and start calling the for sale by owners. We can talk about what to say, how to say it, all that fun stuff later on. But until you actually get over the fear of calling, none of that is really going to matter. I think that, yes, like James said, in a TCPA friendly way, and again, making sure that we're checking the do not call list. I think that a lot of times as real estate agents, sometimes we get caught up in taking class after class after class, and we forget that lead generation is actually a super important part of the process too. And that's not to say that taking classes is not important. Obviously, we're all on this call right here to learn and to grow, but not at the expense of lead generation. Okay, so pick up the phone and call. Number 2 is to get used to being told no. Guys, do you really think that when a for sale by owner lists their home on Zillow, they did so they could call or hear from 50 plus real estate agents a day? Probably not, right? So it's super, super important that we understand that, we're probably gonna hear from some people who aren't super excited to hear from us. And I've been hung up on, I've been cussed out. You're gonna have to develop a little bit of a tough shell. And each no is a chance for us to learn a little bit more, to get further along in the conversation. It is a chance to study our process and to improve our craft. And I can promise you a yes is not far away. Number 3 is to invest in a good dialer. Now, again, I cannot stress this enough. If you're going to choose to use a dialer, you still need to scrub all of those numbers against the do not call list. I like using a dialer because it's got some really good follow-up features on there that I can use to follow up with for sale by owners. I also like it because it just pulls all that information into my system every day, so I'm not having to go through Zillow and write down all the for sale by owner numbers. I also like just the speed. Now, if you're not ready to invest in a dialer at this point, that's totally fine. That is how I got started as well. I use the Mojo and Board RedX dialers are great dialers that you could use. But if you wanted to just go on Zillow, then that would be a perfectly fine way to do it as well. So what you do is you go to Zillow.com, you search, and you can search whatever areas that you want to cover. So for me, what I do differently, because I cover areas that are within a 45-minute radius of Nashville, I'm actually going to draw a circle around the map for all the different areas that I cover, and I'm going to set up an auto search. And then if you go to more on Zillow, you can see there's a drop-down option, and you can select the for sale by owner options. So you can even set up a separate email account with an alert system for any time that a for sale by owner hits the market. I think that this is something that this is
Folks,
super
please don't
important.
interrupt. Don't interrupt her. She's teaching and she's on the correct slide. Her next slide is the script that she'll get to in just a minute. So just hang with her. Emily knows what she's doing. She's all over it. Go ahead, Emily.
Thanks, James. Hey, so if you set up an alert, then you'll get an email anytime that a for sale by owner hits the market. Now, the reason that I like to do this is because a lot of agents are going to start their calls at 8 a.m. every morning. Now, let's say, though, that they made their calls at 8 o'clock that morning, and then a for sale by owner listed at 1 o'clock that afternoon. They might not call that for sale by owner until 8 a.m. the next morning. If you're signed up for Zillow with a separate email account dedicated to for sale by owner listings, you might be the very first person to reach out to that for sale by owner. And I have listed many of homes where one of the main reasons that I got that listing is because I was the first person to reach out to them. If I would also recommend that you have some type of tracking sheet if you're going to if you don't have a CR or a dialer like Mojo or RedX, where you can track the last time that you called them, when you need to call them again, notes on the call, all that good stuff. Number 4 is to be enthusiastic. Okay, I recommend that you make every single call standing up, smiling in front of a mirror. Okay. This is super, super important to have enthusiasm for your job when you're reaching out to for sale by owners. I once called a seller, Mr. Lane, and he wasn't a for sale by owner. I was circle prospecting, and gosh, maybe 1 out of every 10 people that I called answered the phone. And out of those, a lot of people were not super friendly with me. I got hung up on, and so I get it. Cold calling is not always super fun. But when I called Mr. Lane, he answered the phone and I said, "Hello, it's Emily Peckham with Keller Williams. I'm calling for the owner of the home on 123 Main Street." And he answered the phone, and turns out he had a home to sell. 3 weeks later, he listed his home with me. And he told me a couple weeks after I had listed the property, he said, "Emily, the reason that I hired you is because I was so impressed with you on that initial phone call when you reached out to me. I could hear you smiling, and it wasn't your typical cold call." So guys, I know that a lot of us hear that making cold calls is dead and it's the old way of doing business. The reality is that it still works. However, if you are going to choose to reach out to for sale by owners, or really anyone for that matter, stand out for your job by having enthusiasm. Number 5 is to dress for success. I really want to drive this point home. Imagine that it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You've rolled out of bed at 7:55 and you're ready to call the for sale by owners, and you have not showered, not brushed your teeth, did not have any coffee or breakfast, and you're like, all right, here we go. I gotta call the FSBOs. Okay. Now on the flip side of that, let's pretend, for example, that you woke up that morning at 6:30, you are dressed, ready to go on an appointment. You've had a good breakfast, you've spent time in gratitude or affirmations, whatever it is that you like to do to get your morning started. Which do you think is going to go better? Probably the second option, right? Now, look, I totally get it. I have a newborn baby who is currently sick, and I'm running on about 4 hours of sleep. So I understand that sometimes it's hard to really prepare and get yourself ready for the day. But I promise that it will make a huge difference in the way that you show up if you are on your calls every single morning dressed as if you are ready to go on an appointment. All right. So we're going to talk here in just a second. Vicki and I are going to role play the for sale by owner call script that I use. But first, I just want to highlight the importance of memorizing your scripts. Memorizing your scripts is probably one of the most critical things that you can do to have success around for sale by owners. So when I first got my real estate license, I would spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours every single day in practice and role play. I'd practice about half of that time with a script partner, and then I would practice the other half of that time. I would go and walk on the treadmill and spend about an hour memorizing my scripts. If this sounds hard, it should, right? But if you're going to have success with for sale by owners, you're going to need to have your scripts memorized, both your objection handlers and then, of course, the initial call script. So I'm going to ask you to commit to at least 1 hour a day, half that time being used with a role play partner, and then the other half of that time on your own in memorization. If you don't already have a script partner, then you can join my Facebook group, Emily Peckham's FSBO Mastermind group, and that is an excellent resource to find a script partner. All right, so the moment that I'm sure a lot of us have been waiting for, we're gonna role play the FSBO call script. Vicki, are you ready for me?
I'm ready for you.
All right, so Vicki is my lovely for sale by owner. All right, ring, ring, ring. I'm calling for Vicki, the owner of the home on 123 Main Street.
Hi, this is Vicki.
Vicki, it's Emily Peckham with Keller Williams. I am another real estate agent calling you. I'm sure that you have probably heard from a bunch.
Oh,
Am I lucky number 10?
Yes, you are one of many.
Oh gosh, yeah. I always joke with people. I'm like, you know what you don't realize when you list your home on Zillow as a for sale by owner, all the crazy real estate agents start calling you.
So true.
I know. Well, hey, you have a beautiful home. Where y'all moving to?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we decided to pick up and move to Florida.
Oh my gosh, Florida. What a wonderful place. Do you already have a home picked out in Florida?
No, not yet, but I have family there.
Okay, you guys have family there. Hey, I understand the importance of having family nearby. So I can appreciate that. Now, I know that you're getting a ton of phone calls from real estate agents, and I try not to sound like all the rest of the real estate agents who are calling you, but I just wanted to ask you, if for some reason you're not able to sell the house for sale by owner, how long might you wait before you would interview an agent?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks. I'm not
Okay, somewhere
right now,
between,
definitely not. Month.
okay, not right now, but somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so.
Got it. Okay, well, cool. Well, hey, let me ask you this, Vicki. If there was a way that I could show you that I could actually sell the property for you and net you more money than you could selling the home for sale by owner, even after my commission is paid, is that something that you'd be interested in just looking at?
You think that's possible?
Absolutely, I do. I've got availability at 4:30 or 6:30, which is better for you.
Oh, let's say 4:30.
Okay, I'll see you at 4:30.
Thanks.
All right, so
Okay.
that is the script. We're going to talk about handling objections here in a minute. In future sessions, we're actually going to really unpack this script and ask the question, why do I say what I say? We're really going to take a deeper dive. We will also watch live videos of me calling for sale by owners so that you can have some examples of how this conversation really flows. So regardless of how wonderful our script is, most of the time, we're probably going to have to handle some objections, right? Many times it doesn't go as simple as that. Now, sometimes it does. Sometimes they agree to meet with you immediately, but other times you're going to have to handle a few objections first. All right, so I want us to reframe our mindset around objections to thinking of an objection as a good thing. Yes, you heard me right. An objection is a good thing. Have any of you ever gone on an appointment with someone and they just kept saying, yep, that's great, and they didn't really ask any questions or address any concerns that they had? Well, from personal experience, this is probably not a good thing, right? Generally, it means that they're just not interested. Even if your prospect seems abrasive, at least it means that they are emotionally invested or interested. So I want you to shift your mindset to think of an objection as an unanswered question. An objection is oftentimes means that a prospect needs more information, and asking questions and expressing concerns is how they gather that information. So when they say, I need to think about it, what they're really saying is, I'm not yet convinced and I need more information to be certain of a decision. Or if they say, I need to talk to my friend, accountant, family member, whoever it may be, really what they're saying is, I need approval and assurance. So there's a difference between a condition and an objection. A condition is nothing more than an unanswered question. Somewhere in your presentation, you have either said something or failed to address an issue that ultimately leaves a question in a prospect's mind and is fed back to you as an objection. Now, the good thing about an objection is that it is concrete, okay? It is something that we can address and that we can ultimately overcome. Now, a condition, on the other hand, is an obstacle. A condition is a barrier or a situation that ultimately prevents that prospect from selling. So maybe they say, they don't have any equity in the house and they're going to have to bring money to the closing table. Or maybe, they say, I cannot make a decision without my spouse. These are conditions that you just cannot remedy, even with, the most brilliant listing presentation. So we're going to talk about some of the main objections that I see from for sale by owners. Now, in future sessions, we're going to discuss a framework for handling absolutely any and all objections. These are the most common ones that you see here on the screen, but every once in a while, I will get just a curveball objection that I've never heard before. So we're going to discuss, we don't have time to do it today, but we're going to discuss the basic framework for handling any objection. These are the main ones I see, and really the top 4 I see 90% of the time. So we'll go through them really quickly. Number 1 is bring me a buyer. Number 2, I have a friend in the business. 3, check back with me later. 4, I don't need an agent. I can sell it myself, or I don't want to pay a commission. 5, I've sold for sale by owner before. I can do it again. 6, I'll just list the home flat fee MLS. 7, I already have an agent I would list with. And 8, I don't see how you could do that. So how many of us would agree? These are probably the main ones that we're ever going to get, right? So let's talk about number 1. Bring me a buyer and I will pay you 3%. Raise your hand if you've ever heard this one before. Probably one of the most common, if not the most common objections. So here's how I would handle this. Just to make sure that we're on the same page, you're wanting to hire, or you're wanting to save the additional 3% that it would cost for you to hire me, right? And they say, yep. Well, let me ask you this. If you knew that by hiring me, you would actually net more money and more than make up for that difference, that 3% difference in commission, you'd probably go ahead and hire me, wouldn't you? I've got availability at 4:30 or 6:30 to meet. Let's go ahead, or excuse me, which would be better for you? And then the second one, I have a friend in the business. Raise your hand if you've ever heard this one before. Super, super common objection, right? So here's how I would handle, I have a friend in the business. Great. I completely understand that you've got a friend in the business. Can we agree that the sale of your home is probably one of the most important financial decisions that you will ever make? At the end of the day, you don't owe me a thing. You owe your friend your friendship, but ultimately you owe yourself the very best service that money can buy. Why don't we sit down for 15 minutes and I can show you what sets me apart from all of the rest of the real estate agents who are out there. I've got availability of either 4:30 or 6 o'clock, which is better for you. So notice that I'm saying 4:30 or 6 o'clock. I'm not saying, hey, do you have time to meet this afternoon? Or do 4:30 or 6 o'clock work for you? I'm giving them an option of one of the two times. It's not a yes, no question. So those are the most common objections. Again, we will cover the remaining 6 in future sessions. I'll also give you multiple different objection handlers for every single objection. All right, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about follow-up. So in 2020, I sold 103 houses. 49 of those were for sale by owner homes. I sat down at the end of that year and I took a lot of notes around follow-up. And I had a lot of ahas I want to share with you. So like I said, I sold 103 houses that year. 49 of those 103 were for sale by owner homes. 37 of those 49 said yes to an appointment with me on the very first phone call. 25 of those 37 agreed to list with me on the initial appointment. 12 of the 49 did not agree to meet with me, and they took more follow-up. And then of those 12, 5 eventually agreed to list with me on the initial appointment. So guys, follow-up is the name of the game. It is so important. Let's just assume that I had stopped follow-up altogether. I would have sold 25 for sale by owner homes instead of 49. Now, in that year, my average commission was $9,000. That is $225,000 in GCI that I would have missed out on had I chose to not follow up. Okay. So much of my success with for sale by owners has come from consistent follow-up. So we're going to cover a little bit about follow-up today. What do I say? You know, how often do I say it? And we'll go through a basic framework for follow-up that you can use, and I'll give you some practical ideas and tools that you can implement into your business. So first of all, regardless of if I set an appointment with someone on that initial call or not, I'm going to send them a text with my contact card. And then I'll also send a nice to meet you video, and I'm going to play that for you here in a second. I send my contact card. It's completely filled out with my headshot, with all my contact information, my website, all my socials, all my contact information. I also have myself saved as Emily Peckham -realtor in my phone. Now, the reason that I have myself saved this way is because they are getting so many phone calls from real estate agents. A lot of times, even though I'm really good at follow-up, they're going to forget who I am. So I always tell them when I send that contact card to them, hey, save me in your phone. And if you forget who I am, then you can just search realtor and you can find me that way. So I'm going to send them that. And then I'm also going to send them that nice to meet you video, which we're going to play here in a second. But my level of follow-up is really going to be dependent on how motivated that for sale by owner is. So I determine motivation by asking really good questions. I'm going to give you in a future session a list of tons of questions that you can ask to help determine motivation. But if they are highly motivated, I'm going to follow up with them every single day or every other day. And I'm going to spend most of my time and energy focusing on those people who are motivated. Now, just because someone tells me that they're a motivated seller, or just tells me that they're not motivated, doesn't mean that they're not motivated. Most for sale by owners have at least some level of motivation to be willing to take the time to write a listing description, to take photos of their home, and put it on Zillow. Now, on the other hand, just because they say they're motivated, let's say that they have their home, priced $100,000 higher than what it is worth, and they're not willing to budge, then they're probably not super motivated. or they're just uneducated on, you know, what the true value of their home is. So we have to ask questions to kind of determine their level of motivation. But here is kind of an example of what I would do, the way that I would follow up with a for sale by owner who did not agree to meet with me on that initial phone call. I'm going to start that follow-up process with them. So I'm going to share my screen with you and play this first video. All right, so along with my contact card that I send them, I'm going to send them this nice to meet you video.
Hey, this is Emily Peckham with Keller Williams. I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today over the phone. It was so nice to meet you, and below you will find my contact card. Go ahead and save me to your contacts, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
All right, so that is that one. So second, I am going to send them a get to know Emily Peckham video, which I will play you. Or excuse me, a getting tired of the calls video. And this is just a simple little video that I shot on my iPhone, right? Nothing special.
Hey, it's Emily Peckham again. As I mentioned earlier, you're probably going to get a ton of phone calls from real estate agents. So if you need a script to get them off the phone, you can just tell them that when you list your home, it'll be with Emily Peckham of Keller Williams Realty. Have a wonderful day.
All right, so I'm going to send that on day 2. So day 1, I had texted them my contact card and the nice to meet you video immediately after hanging up the phone with them. By the way, I'll backtrack a little bit and say that I start my calls at either 7:55 or 8 o'clock every single morning. If I did not reach that for sale by owner in the morning, then I will try in the afternoon or the evening, assuming there is availability in my schedule. So number 1, send them the contact card and the nice to meet you video. On day 2 or day 3, I'll send them this getting tired of the calls video. And then 2 or 3 days after that, I'm going to send them a testimonial video from a past client. Now, this is something you'll see is nothing special. Didn't send a camera crew to Miss Barnes' house to film this. This was just a simple text I sent her. Hey, would you mind filming a quick 15 to 30-second video talking about what your experience working with me was? Now, if you've never, worked with for sale by owners in the past and haven't sold a for sale by owner home, this can just be any past client of yours. Or if you're brand new to the industry and you have not listed or closed on a transaction yet, then you can even reach out to a past employer of yours and ask them if they might film a 15 or 30-second video of their experience in working with you. So there's no excuse to not have something. And again, shot on the iPhone, nothing special. I didn't give her a script, but here is an example of that.
Barnes, and I just want to tell you that my husband and I just recently sold and then purchased a new home, and we used Emily Peckham with Keller Realty. She has been just so easy to work with, informative, does the legwork that she needs to do, and is with you through the whole process from beginning to end. And we couldn't be happier. We've worked with other realtors before, but this was the easiest, stress-free experience that we've had, and made a good friend in the process. So if you're thinking of buying or selling, please use Emily. We are so happy that we did. Thank you, Em.
All right, so there is that. Let me just get back to the screen real quick. I now have somewhere between 10 and 15 of these videos that are filmed by past clients. So this follow-up can continue on for a very, very long time. In future sessions, I'm going to give you some much lengthier follow-up plans that you can just plug and play. There'll be plans that are for both motivated sellers and those who are not quite as motivated that you can use and implement into your business to follow up. I also have 23 plus follow-up ideas and things that you can literally copy and paste and take from me and use in your follow-up process with for sale by owners. So there's going to be a ton of more information on follow-up. We just only had so little time today. After this, after I'm sending them the testimonial videos, I am calling them and texting them every single week. I'm asking them if they need anything, if they're ready to meet with me, if they have any questions that I can help to answer. So what you say is not as important as how often you're saying it. It is about staying top of mind. So I always get asked, what do you say? I don't know what to say when I call them to follow up with them. Guys, don't complicate it. This might sound wild, but after the initial call, what you say during that follow-up process is not the most important thing. I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, but it's not the most important thing. So normally I'm just going to call them and I'm going to say something along the lines of, hey, it's me again. Do you remember me amongst the gazillion other real estate agents that I'm sure you heard of since the last time we spoke? And then I'm going to ask them, you know, how things are going. I'm going to ask them how their activity has been, if they need any additional help from me, or if they have any questions. And then I'm always going to try and close for that appointment. Now, maybe if they told me that they were going to move to Florida, I might bring that up again. So I might say, hey, it's super cold in Nashville this week. I am so jealous that you all are moving to Florida. And then I'm gonna, you know, again, kind of close for that appointment. So, hey, last time we spoke, I know it's been, you know, a week since we last spoke, but I just wanted to follow up with you. It looks like the home's been on the market for a week. I wanted to ask you again, if there was a way that I could show you that I could sell the property for you and net you more money than you could selling the house for sale by owner, even after my commission is paid, is that something that you'd be interested in looking at? So again, I'm constantly going to be trying to close for that appointment. So that's all that we have time for today to talk about follow-up. And I just want to briefly talk about the masterclass that we're going to be offering. So I hope that you found value in today's class. And if you want to take this a step further, multiple steps forward, then I would recommend that you sign up and take our masterclass around for sale by owners. Guys, I've spent hundreds of hours putting this together. Everything that you could ever need to have success around for sale by owners is going to be offered in this course. There's going to be 3 sessions. Session 1 is a 2-hour class. It's 1 week from today. And then sessions 2 and 3 are both 90-hour classes, or 90 minutes. And those are going to be the following 2 Wednesdays. The cost of the class is $350. There is a discount for Inspire members, $325. Guys, let's just say that, for example, in your market, the average sales price is $250,000. In my market, it's much higher than that, but we're just going to pretend that's the average sales price. At a 3% commission, that's a $7,500 commission. If you sign up for this class and you're able to implement or to sell 1 for sale by owner home as a result of taking this class, you're going to 20x your investment, right? So let's talk about briefly what's covered. And I am going to save just about 10 minutes or so at the end to answer any questions that you guys have. I can go a little bit later. I'm not sure if that's an option, but I'll save a little bit of time for questions. In session 1, we're going to talk more about mindset. I'm going to give you practical tips that you can have to boost your mindset around for sale by owners. We're also going to talk a lot about gratitude and affirmations. We talked a lot about some of the problems that for sale by owners face today. We're also going to take it a step further and talk about some of the main reasons why for sale by owners list their homes for sale by owner. That way we can really address their concerns and cater our presentation to meet those concerns. We'll talk more tips on calling for sale by owners and memorizing your scripts. We're going to talk a ton about building rapport. Building rapport is such a critical skill in working with for sale by owners. I'm going to give you a list of questions that you can ask in order to build rapport. You'll actually watch videos of me on the phone with for sale by owners, so you can see how these conversations flow, and that I'm not always just following that script line by line. I'm also going to be making sure that I'm intertwining some of these rapport building questions into that script as well. We'll talk about, of course, the for sale by owner script in more detail. I'll talk about previews and appointments. We will cover the remaining 6 objection handlers that we didn't get to today, and I'll give you multiple objection handlers for every single class or every single objection. We're going to watch a ton of videos of me overcoming objections as well. In session 2, we're going to take a much deeper dive into follow-up. We'll make sure that we are abundantly clear on the answer to the question, what do I say? How often do I follow up? I'm going to talk a lot about determining a seller's motivation, and I'm going to give you a list of questions that you can ask in order to determine motivation. I'm going to give you specific plug and play follow-up plans that you can implement into your business. I wrote down 23 follow-up ideas on there. I think now that I've added some more, there's actually closer to 30. And again, tools that you can literally just copy and paste into your business and use for follow-up with for sale by owners. We'll talk about the pre-qualification process and then the pre-qualification script. And then we'll move on and we'll talk about pre-listing. I'll give you access to my pre-listing presentation. What does it include? What are the benefits? How do we deliver it? We'll talk about the appointment, how to prepare, what to bring. We'll go through my listing presentation script. You'll get a copy of that as well. And I'll talk about the main objections that we get during the listing appointment. And I'll give you multiple objection handlers for all of those. Then we'll talk about follow-up post-appointment, assuming that we did not list the home on that initial appointment. You're also going to get access to a ton of downloads. So I'm going to give you access to this download, My Goals for Your Experience. It's all about setting good expectations with our clients to ultimately protect our mindset. I'll give you a tracking sheet that you can use to track all of your calls with for sale by owners. Again, step-by-step follow-up plans, follow-up ideas. You'll have access to my pre-listing presentation, my pre-qualification email template that I send out before going on an appointment, rapport building questions, questions to determine motivation, scripts, tons of scripts. I'll give you the script for the initial phone call, the listing presentation script, 12 plus objection handlers, the pre-qualification script, and then of course my favorite closes. So guys, like I said, I have spent hundreds of hours putting together this class. I truly believe that
I'm going to interrupt. She hasn't spent
much
hundreds of
value
hours.
here.
I'm
What's that?
interrupting Emily Peckham. You have not spent hundreds of hours. You've spent 8 months working with us on this course. 8 months. And 140 freaking FSBOs. What I love about what you're doing is you're literally giving away the entire system. The entire system, start to finish, A to Z, what do they say? Soup to nuts. I don't even know what that means. They're giving the whole system. And the bottom line too is, even if you never list a FSBO, to have the pre-listing packet of somebody who listed 140 FSBOs would be amazing. We should have charged $13.50 for this instead of $3.50. It's a deal. So enroll. Bottom line is enroll. Inspire members, you get a discount. So check the Facebook group. FSBOfortune.com is where you go to sign up. Emily, can I ask you a couple of questions before we go?
Absolutely.
Will you stop your screen share so I can ask you? And Vicky can keep
I will.
putting the thing in the chat. First of all, thank you for doing this. And I appreciate everybody who stuck with it and learned from Emily. She gave you $350 worth of value on the free call right here, which I love. But the one thing people were saying in the chat was, your call to Vicky was so simple, it can't possibly be that easy. But it isn't the initial call kind of that easy, and then you just take the objections as they come?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I forgot to bring up during the call is that the purpose of that initial script is not to convince them to work with you. It is to get them to sign up for an appointment with you. And yes, it truly is that simple. Again, I spent, 8 months traveling in an RV, and hadn't really been calling for sale by owners while I was out. Got back several months ago, and I'm using this script and it is still working. And people are saying yes to appointments with me immediately.
What's the biggest mistake that you think agents make when it comes to pursuing this as an opportunity?
I think that they do not spend enough time in memorization. So you can join my Facebook group right now, Emily Peckham's FSBO Mastermind group, and sometimes, or FSBO Mastermind group, and sometimes I will go on there and I'll do live calls. When I first started doing that, that made me a little bit nervous to be sharing my scripts, like I'm doing today. If anything, I ended up starting to list more for sale by owner homes after I was doing that. And my takeaway from that was I was getting continual practice, putting myself out there. And even though people have access to, some of the scripts that I use, they just sound like they're just sitting here reading in front of a script. Whereas for me, it's a natural conversation that occurs. And I think there's a huge difference between the two.
So one thing we're going to do in the masterclass is you're going to give them all the systems and all the conversations that you use and all those models so they can go practice them, get really good at them. And I always like to tell people, I'm like, if you can master the for sale by owner, then every other listing appointment is easier. Because the other listing appointments you go on don't come with the objections the for sale by owner has. So it's like if you can master the elite event, all the other events are easier. And this is
Yeah.
the elite event that you have mastered, you figured out. What's another takeaway they'll get if they choose to enroll in the full program, Emily? Because you put it up on there. Maybe you could put it up on the screen again, all the stuff. Because I don't know if people are getting legitimately the entire system, A to Z. And you'll have a portal that you can go in as a member, watch every recording over and over again. You have access to all her role plays. You'll have access to all the tools. So can you put back on the screen again what it is they get?
Yep. Let me share my screen real quick. So, this is all the downloads that you'll get, which, I mean, just the scripts in and of themselves is huge. But for me, I think one of the biggest things is follow-up, because that's one of the main questions that I get is like, what does your follow-up process look like? And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I will give you a step-by-step follow-up plan that you can implement. And I think that is huge, so that you're just able to plug and play that directly into your business.
Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay, you said you had time for a couple of questions, which we'll take.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. So if you have a question for Emily, you can raise your digital hand. We're only going to take a couple, and we'll go from there. Michael, you want to go first?
I just had a quick question about when you're doing the those initial calls and you're just going right off of Zillow, are you looking up like those comps and the actual condition of the home before you're making that call? That way, when you're saying like, you know, I can get your house sold for more, you've already made sure that the house is not priced right or overpriced.
I'm so glad that you asked this question, because this is like one of the main questions that I get, and I think something that's really, really important that we address. I am not looking up comparables before I'm making the phone calls. This is something that we'll cover a lot when we go over the listing presentation. But one of the first lines in that listing presentation script is, you know what, Mr. or Mrs. for sale by owner, regardless of if I sell the home, you sell the home, or another real estate agent sells the home, the most money that anybody can get is what the market says is the value of the home, or ultimately the price that the buyer is willing to pay. Would you agree? And they'll say, yes, I would agree. So we're going through comparables, and then we're showing them how we can net them more money than they could selling on their own. It's not that I'm adding 15, 20, whatever $1,000 on top of the sales price that they have it listed. The most money that anybody can get is what the market says is the value of the home. So I want to be clear that I'm not just adding, you know, my commission on top, because a lot of times they're overpriced to begin with. We've got to show them the true value in what their home is, and then show them how we can get them more than what they would be able to get selling by owner.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Greg Davis?
Awesome. So Emily, I just wanted to thank you. I was a brand new agent in September 2020, and I remember you speaking to that virtual bold in October. And I just want to thank you for continuing to come from value and continuing on your success. Congratulations on the 8 investment properties, and I hope your kiddo gets well soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It means a lot to
You're
me.
awesome. That is cool. Who's next? Shanaz, did I say it right? I always love fun names. Okay. Malaysia Walker? Malaysia?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to know if there's lifetime access to the program.
Yeah, we'll leave everything up inside the portal forever. So you'll have access to jump in and watch the recordings and watch the videos and download the tools. You'll get after you sign up and we process all the registrations, we'll teach you and show you how to access all the recordings and all the systems. You get it for 3 minutes. No, I'm playing. Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Gardner. I'm actually Kelsey Gardner's mom. Emily, your friend Kelsey.
I remember you.
And I've had some health challenges that have kind of taken me, out of the real estate business, but I'm back now. I'm excited to do FSBOs. Very happy about your beautiful little girl. Congratulations. And I'm going to sign up for this. I wanted to know, how did I do the expire thing so that I can get a discount?
Well, you got to be an Inspire member, Robin. So you can go to inspire.jamesdshaw.com. That's my private mastermind community. Inspire.jamesdshaw.com. We do so much in there. And because we partnered with Emily on this course, we're offering a discount to our members. So inspire.jamesdshaw.com to join my private mastermind.
Got
Maria
it.
Sims.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I'm struggling. Emily, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I'm blown away. I love FSBOs, but you taught me so much today. And I wanted to ask, so it starts with mindset. You know your goal is to set an appointment. And how often do you practice scripts? Do you still do that even though you're the queen?
I do still practice my scripts, not nearly as much as I used to. It's crazy. Like I said, I took off almost 8 months last year and traveled the country, came back, and basically could still say all this in my sleep. I spent so much time early on in my career that I really mastered those scripts, but I still do definitely refresh on them. I would say that I'm more so spending about an hour per week at this point.
Okay. Well, good for you.
But
You're
early
amazing.
on, thank you. Early on, lots and lots of practice.
We're only going to take a couple of more, Emily, because we're up against the clock and I want to honor everybody's time. I want to thank you again, though, for doing it. And I trust everyone's going to enroll in your full series so they can get all the systems, all the stuff, all the role plays. Even one dude was like, call a live FSBO right now. That's really cute and funny. But you actually did that in a video that they're going to have access to. So you'll get access to it. Tatiana, you got the next question.
Hi, great training. I learned a lot. It was super, super insightful. And I wanted to thank you, Emily, for all the insight you've given us. So the question is, when you are in the middle of when you've spoken to them on the phone and you're in the follow-up process, do you kind of do any leave behinds? Like, do you go over or also when you're doing maybe you offer the open house, to run the open house, I guess, what is your
leave behind? Is there additional information that I'm sending them, for example?
Yeah, something.
Yeah. So something that I forgot to put on the bullet that you'll get access to is my for sale by owner packet. And that is something that it's got all kinds of stuff, a security checklist on there, a checklist to get their home ready for sale. So it's a huge packet that I put together. You guys will have access to that as well. That's one thing that I send them. I'll offer to do maybe a CMA for them occasionally. There's a lot of tools and actual physical items that I will send them that you guys will all have access to in the masterclass as well.
Oh, that's great. One more. Alexis, you get the last one.
Hi,
Hey,
Emily.
girl.
Hey, this isn't a question. I just wanted to say I'm so proud of you, and this is awesome. I think you bringing this to the marketplace is amazing. Being able to work with you was so amazing for my career. So I know anyone who does this program that you're offering will be able to 10x their business. So congratulations and thank you for doing this.
No
Thank you, girl.
freaking
I love
joke.
you.
Love
Alexis,
you.
let me just tell you, that's no joke about that. First of all, if anybody knows me, I don't partner with just anybody. And Vicky on my team and Grace on my team and Nadine and Anna will all tell you, we get calls all the time. Can we do this with you? Can we do this with you? And I always say, no, no, no. But I have known Emily for 4 years and I have watched her dominate this. She is the FSBO GOAT.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
She's the
Without a
FSBO
doubt.
GOAT. And if you even know half of her story and what she's done to get here, it is one of the most inspiring and amazing things you have ever seen. Hold on, I got to mute everybody because we got people on mute. What she's offering you is the real deal legit. Now you have to decide, are you willing to take the things she teaches you and implement them? And if you are, I can't promise that you'll list 140 FSBOs in 4 years, but I can promise you'll list more homes. I can promise that you'll make more money and you'll get better control of your time. And so that's why we love to do these freebies. I always love to do a freebie because if you don't enroll, she gave you her opening script. She gave you exactly what to say in the videos. She gave you so much for nothing today. And that's what a lot of you want. You want a lot for nothing. So you got that. If you are, I want everything for nothing, you got a lot today. But if you're someone that says, hey, I got to invest in me, I got to get after it, she's going to give you even more when you enroll in the full program. FSBOfortune.com. FSBOfortune.com. Inspire members, I emailed you the promo code at noon Eastern, and it's posted in the Facebook group. Anything else you want to say, Emily, before we roll out? You're muted. I muted everybody, and that included you. Sorry. Anything else you want to say, Peckham?
At the very least, I hope that you got a lot of value out of today. But I'm really, really excited to take this a step further. And I just cannot wait to hear the stories of success, lives changed, that we are able to create as a result of taking this course and making for sale by owners a piece of your business.
I'm proud of you. Just want you to know. I'm very
Thank you.
proud of you.
Appreciate
You
you.
nailed it today, and you're offering so much value to this group. Thank you. Everyone else for watching, thank you for being here and investing your time today. We hope to see you in the future sessions coming up in the next 3 weeks. And we'll see you, of course, in Pivot Shift Ahead in the mornings at 8 o'clock Eastern. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, guys.